So, hi, Sini and Arda. Thank you so much for joining me today and to answer some of our questions as part of the camp. CAMPGround is happening on in March. It's a 3-day festival, and both of you will be playing. And you have also both played before, right? Last year. So it's great to have you come back and join. I thought we would start just like with a very simple question. If each of you could tell me a bit about like your path to becoming a professional musician and what sparked your interest in music, why did you choose this instrument, and then also why did you choose to pursue doing a lot of new music? So maybe Sini, would you like to start?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for having us. It's a pleasure to be here. So, okay, I started to play the violin when I was 5-year-old. My mom had played like a couple years when she was younger, and so we had a violin at home, and that's how I got to know about the instrument. And kind of funny thing is like I was like super active kid, like not very calm and not very focused at all. So my mom thought like, okay, let's give her a chance for a couple lessons and then I will get bored of it and quit like right away. But kind of opposite thing happened, and I was like super into it right away. Like from my first lesson, I didn't even dare to talk to my teacher. Just I was so focused on the instrument.
That's
and
so cool.
Yeah, ever since then, I never even thought about like if I want to become a professional or anything like that. Just I was so interested in it and I wanted to improve. So that's how I got here. Still on my path of trying to learning more.
That's amazing. And like it has always been like that throughout your whole musical like journey. Like did you ever go through a period where you thought, oh, maybe I'm a bit tired of this, I want to try a different career? Or has it always been just the violin?
I mean, I got desperate at times. Like I thought like it's never gonna work out. Like, but yeah, I always really just wanted to improve. So yeah, here we are.
That's great. And do you play, when did you get into new music, or like, has it always been there with you? I mean, what was the process like? Because I assume you probably started with classical music.
Yeah, I'm like completely classically trained. So basically, when I was teenager, I started to get interested in more contemporary stuff, kind of finding repertoire that's not played that often. And yeah, ever since then, I was trying to explore new things to play and new techniques to try out. And yeah.
Cool. What were some of the first composers and pieces that you started with in new music?
Well, probably it's not considered contemporary anymore, but at that time, like a long time ago, my first kind of more contemporary piece was Lutoslavsky Partita.
Oh, yes.
And after that, I was like, oh, there's another world like beyond all these classics. So yeah, that's kind of my opening to more contemporary stuff.
Yeah, I love Lutosławski as well. He's one of my favorite composers. Have you played Subito for piano and violin?
I did.
Yeah, very cool. Great. Arda, so how about you?
Hi, Ania. Thank you so much for having us here. It's beautiful.
Of course.
Beautiful to be a part of this festival. It's very exciting. It was very exciting last year as well, and I am very excited to be there again in Tampa area, and we will perform. And you were asking about my background and my how my new music for me started in a way. I come from Turkey. I was born in Ankara and I studied in Ankara partly and in Istanbul as well. So I don't have a musician in my family, but in a way that I have always been interested and been attending to so many music and art performances when I was young. And my sister, and right now my sister, but before also my mom had an art gallery. So I had actively had a lot of artists around me, not necessarily musical artists, but artists of all sorts. So this was basically art and the environment was very natural for me. I grew up with them, and they were contemporary artists of that time, always contemporary artists. And in art world, like contemporary paintings, sculptures, so, and later it started lots of art fairs we attended to, so many installations, different things. I have been witnessing the change in the world since the 90s through. So I was born in 81. Imagine I was very young, and I have been attending. And music for me started because I wanted to play the trumpet particularly, and I wanted to learn this instrument. I wanted to become someone who is always being performing and creating. So not necessarily all these, imagine yourself like you are a little kid, and your mom is really supporting you to become what you want and to do what you want to like, what you like to do in your life. So because that's the only way to kind of happiness. So I have is my mic okay? Okay, it's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
So excuse me, there's a technical maybe problem here. So I'm just, yes, yeah, I'm back.
Yes. Okay.
So it was a very tiny little pause, but it's all right. So what I have been doing is I always was looking for what I want to do, briefly, to say briefly, and even the schools I went to, everything was determined by the person I want to learn from. So I didn't know what Eastman was. I didn't know what Malmö were, where Malmö is, when I was very young. But later I ended up in these places studying with these particular people who I wanted to study with. So it's like a master and apprentice relationship, in a way, as many of us has, in music. So that's made me learn what I want to do. And when you say professional musician, I feel like, am I a professional musician? I mean, I'm an artist and I'm a professional, of course, but this is the way of life for me. So to put it as a professional musician, I feel a bit strange. So just to, I mean, to show me my perspective of on how I look at this, So I have always been interested in new music. So like a little bit what I have said until now is also giving a little bit clues about why I am interested in new music. And one of my teachers is the champion of new music on the trumpet. So he's like really incredible, Håkan Hardenberger. So like I get to know him a little bit, and I get to understand what tradition is, what historical side of performance leading to contemporary performance is, also at Eastman, with my professor there. So there are so many professors we had, so many information we have been taught. So it's like all coming, getting together. I think the most important thing that I can think of is we have the opportunity to meet the composer now in new music, right? If we are not the composers by ourselves, and vice versa, like the composers can meet us. So this is a good relationship. It's actually more effective rather than studying Haydn for like going to all libraries for a trumpet concerto and how it, we did that too, but it's a little bit, I wish I had a time machine and go and save Schubert, or something.
Yeah.
I always say to myself. So it's a little bit more, it's the richest, I think, music genre, because we have the extremely vast amount of possibilities, and we decide, it's like we are on top of everything. It's my my contemporaries take on today's music. We write the history now. It's fun to do that.
That's
So
right.
and also a good, I mean, maybe a good grasp in historical music performance is also needed. I don't know. But where we are as humanity, where we have been before, we have to check and where are we right now and what we do. So this is what we do right now as camp artists, I think, and composers who are attending and writing for us. It's beautiful. And I finally, what I want to say is, you know, trumpet really fits my personality. However, it's not like a, you know, my old teacher Bo Nilsson in Sweden used to say, you know, I used to have a friend and I introduced Bo, and then he said, that person, that friend played the violin. So I said, he plays the violin, and he looked at me, oh, a real instrument, you know. So since, you know, since then I have been actually like thinking, and it is actually, trumpet is really new, and it's very not flexible instrument as the violin, and we don't have a rich rich history, rich repertoire, but it's one of the oldest instruments. It's kind of basically a tube of metal you blow, and there are overtone series, you know. And based on the temperament systems, it doesn't fit or fits, you know, like. And then in the 20th century, 21st century, some of the players we have was able to expand this repertoire, and it's all of a sudden it turned out to be one of the most contemporary instruments. So when you ask Sini, I thought of that. That's why I wanted to say, because it's like, compared to violin, it's kind of different. And it's a different perspective. Now we are pushing it a little bit, like how can we make it more flexible? And I am happy I am at camp, so I can try doing it more. So thank you.
Yeah, I mean, one of the next questions I think is about like your piece that you will be playing, but I will ask that in a little bit. But yeah, thank you so much for your answer.
Thank you.
But both of you. I guess my next question would be, what are some of your most memorable collaborations? I mean, you have both talked about working with composers, and so I'm sure you must have had a lot of experience being part of all sorts of projects and collaborations. And so I'm just curious, what were your favorite ones, and like why, and what were those projects like? What did they entail, and who did you work with? Maybe, yeah, Sini?
Sure. It's actually a really difficult question, because I feel like, how can I choose a favorite or prioritize or put in any kind of order? I feel like every collaboration I did, whether it will be with composer or performers, it's a learning experience for sure. So yeah, working with composers has been amazing, especially when it's kind of like dialogue. So I was fortunate enough to have some pieces written like specifically for me, so I was part of the process of creating them. And that has been, yeah, really amazing to talk with the composer and figure out how to make what is their vision to work with my instrument. Yeah, and like, if I would pick one, like performers wise, yeah, I got to play with my teacher, Mihail Kopelman, several occasions, and it's like my musical hero. So yeah, that would be something I want to mention. Yeah.
And what was that? So you played together, you said?
Yeah.
What was it like to play with your teacher and somebody who you look up to so much?
Okay, so the piece we did first was Tchaikovsky's Souvenir de Florence, which I grew up listening to of his recording of it. So can you imagine, like,
Oh my
it was
God.
so, like, I'm living in the like recording suddenly, like I'm yeah, it was just unimaginable. Yeah.
Amazing. Was it at a concert, or were you recording, or what
It
was
was a
that?
concert, yeah. Yeah, and like from the first rehearsal, like when it starts with like this chord with the first violin, and I was like sucked into it, like I just was riding a wave, and it was unbelievable. Yeah, never
That's a
will forget
beautiful
about that.
story. Yeah. Where did you perform?
It was in Eastman. Yeah, it was. I think he's part of his faculty recital. Yeah, that must have been. Yeah.
Wow, amazing. Great. Arda, same question.
I will unmute myself. I have a little technical question. We are
Yeah.
in a speaker view. Whenever I speak, do you see me on the screen? Because I don't see myself. But you see me.
Yeah, it's on you. Yeah.
Okay. Because it doesn't switch, so I wanted to make sure. That's okay. So thank you for the question. It's as Sini said, it's a little bit. I'm trying to think of certain things. I have some performances I want to share with you, but in a way that I really truly want to say this. It's first of all, like CAMPGround23 was one of the most memorable ones to me. It was really like I'm sure CAMPGround23 will be also very, very memorable. It was beautiful, everything we have done. All the people, there was very valuable people that I value so much, and I liked to be with them. So that turned out to like generate really good energy. So it's about this energy, maybe believing in what you do, like giving some meaning to what you do. So memorable. What is memorable? Like playing with a really big name, is it memorable? No, maybe in a way that if I stop talking now and start a silent period of time right now in an interview and start making some sounds. So this could be maybe like it can become a memorable performance too. I am really serious about this. So
Yeah.
it's I'm particularly interested in having all my performances memorable. But I'm not saying that I try to make it interesting artificially.
Yeah.
I don't like to push, but I'm saying we are all valuable, and every moment is important. And what Eastman contributed, my professor contributed to my playing, is about the perception of time, future, past, and now, right? When you go on stage, it's if you can live that moment in a certain way that you planned and you want to plan, it's always really it really makes a difference. So another perspective I would like to present here is, as an orchestral player, I want to say that there are so many orchestras in the world, like top orchestras. Everybody trains really crazily, like playing all these orchestral excerpts, and they try to become orchestral musicians. They go there, they are part of the army, they are the soldiers, perfect soldiers. They play this and that, whatever like the conductor wants them to do. However, I was thinking a couple weeks ago, when I was a student in Sweden and when I was a student in Istanbul State Conservatory, we had a couple performances. When I listened to them, they are really not really nice performances technically. But one of them was in Swedish, like Malmö Music Academy of Music Orchestra. We went to play Shostakovich 10, and we were going 2 buses with like a giant snowstorm. We were performing out of nowhere, like it's just snow everywhere, and we were like playing Shostakovich 10. But you can't believe we were missing notes, but it was the most beautiful thing I have ever had, because we were a team. We were like my colleagues. We were student. The spirit of being student. If you can have that spirit as a professional, we talked about like later, then you are. This is memorable, Like
Yeah.
I'm later living in New York. I have had so many concerts with many symphony orchestras, but I didn't have the same sometimes like feeling, so this is one of them. I just wanted to say my most memorable and my favorite of all time performance was something that I have done right before the pandemic, and the last day of my performance, the pandemic started. It was a long duration of musical performance art. And this is a genre that I started There was, no one was playing before me. So it was curated by Marina Abramovic Institute. It was a show that I performed for 4.5 weeks, 8 hours a day in a museum. They exhibited me. So I improvised. So that was, I eliminated the composer. I was the source of creation there. So everything I have done was presented to the public. They were contemporary art museum visitors can visit anytime they want in my room. So that was a very special performance, I want to say.
Can I ask one question? Were you
Yes.
just improvising? Did you have any source that you were improvising from? Like, were you maybe because you were in a no, just playing.
I did not even prepare. It was just I prepared, but I was preparing for the last 25 years, maybe. Like that kind of preparation.
Yeah.
So, and before that performance, we went to a workshop. This is a kind of, I don't want to make it so long, but this was important for me. I could say a couple more things very briefly, but this is important. But my neighbor in Sweden was dying of cancer, and she wanted me to play at her funeral 5 minutes before she passed away. And then I flew from Eastman back to my Sweden home, Höllviken, and I attended to this funeral and I performed for her a solo piece. It was a piece by Otto Ketting, Intrada is the name. However, the priest was a Norwegian theology professor. We selected that piece because it had certain moments of humanity and kind of law, like justice, some sort of like theme in my take. So imagine people in a church, in a cathedral, in a little local church, and it's very like large space, but people are crying and you know them, and you are playing in a funeral in the most intimate, like it really like hit me in my heart so much. The reason I'm telling this, because it was real, very real. So that's a performance that I would say it was a memorable. I mean, when you say that, I always remember that moment. It's there are so many more. I don't want to say, because there are so many special occasions, but if we could be careful and really understand why the performance is, and really understand the energy of these performances, these all little occasions that we perform, they are all memorable. That's what I'm trying to say. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Wow, I also love that the different stories that you picked are all really featuring different parts of your music making and different settings, different I love that. That's so cool. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
It's beautiful. So I wanted to ask you now about how did you both end up getting involved with camp, and what has your experience been like? I mean, you have talked about it a little bit already, Arda, but maybe we can focus more on camp now. Sini.
Sini,
sorry, Sini, maybe.
Yeah.
Sure. So all of this goes back to my days at Eastman. I met pianist Unmiko there, and we have been collaborating since probably like 2009, like very intensely at times. And we created a concert series at Eastman and like exploring music after 1900, and we collaborated like a lot through the years. And even after Eastman days, I moved out of the country, out of the continent, back to Finland, where I'm from. We still kept kind of, at least once a year, we had some kind of project somewhere in the world, of course, excluding the pandemic time. So I'm so fortunate that Unmi is still willing to play with me and invite me to the festival. And last year was, like Arda said, like absolutely amazing experience. Like the atmosphere was just such a unique support for each other, like genuine interest in each other's art. yeah, I just felt like so included. So it was really beautiful, and I'm so excited to be coming back this year.
Great, thank you. Arda.
We studied at Eastman all together with Sini, Unmi. I know Sini for many years. When I first started, she was there as well. I really remember that, and I really know their like string and hammers, their strings and hammers. It's kind of beautiful trio that they have. I have been to their concerts at Eastman, and I have been at
Would you
their
mind
concert-
just saying what is that trio? Because not everybody knows.
Sini, Sini, can you tell a little bit about your trio, please? Is it okay if I ask you? Yeah.
Sure. So our trio was founded by pianist Unmi Ko, double bassist Julia Keller, and myself, violin. And basically, there is not much existing repertoire for this combination of instruments. So our mission became to commission pieces first from our friends at school, and then, yeah, like expanding. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have been attending to their concerts, and the concept was pretty much like what Camp today, actually. So, and I loved it because I have heard maybe 9, 10 pieces together. I remember a Christchurch performance right next to school. I remember another performance as well, and then later they came to New York City where I lived, and then I have been to their concert there as well. So, and we all know each other, that's obviously so, and seeing each other perform and study at the same place and at the same environments at Eastman, I think made us familiar with each other. So artistically as well, plus we were friends, and how wonderful, how lucky to be all their friends. So I am so happy that I was invited to be there last year, and I'm again invited this year. So it's beautiful. So that's how it went for me as
Great.
well.
So thanks to common background, all of you met in school, right? Yeah, I mean, Eastman has this magic of really, I think, building a very supportive communities and having people like really collaborate with each other within the school, but also outside of school. So yeah, that's great.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I was wondering, we could maybe talk a bit about like your repertoire that you'll be playing this year at CAMPGround23. Sini, could you tell me about like the pieces that you're playing? Are they all for solo violin or for violin and other instruments? What has your like preparation been like? And yeah, have you been in touch with the composers? What has the process been like?
Sure. Yeah, I'll be happy to share my upcoming repertoire, which is quite vast. So I'm playing 6 different pieces, 3 of them for solo violin, 1 duo with voice with Jamie Jordan, and 1 duo with cello with Laura Yusiskin, who I haven't met yet, but I'm looking forward to meeting her soon. And then we will do a special performance with Unmi, violin and piano, to commemorate Hilary Tan, who passed away recently.
Oh, beautiful. And who are the 3 composers that you are playing solo? You said solo pieces, right?
Solo pieces. Yeah. So I have a solo piece by Yuting Tan called Chapteh, and then a solo piece by Axel Retif called Halterio, and 1 more by Matthew Schreibais called Passions. And
Great.
It's so amazing to be playing such different kind of pieces. Like all of them are completely different worlds, completely different techniques, different kind of expression. So it's such a richness to be able to work on these pieces. And yeah, you asked about if I've been in touch with composers. So most of them I have been in some kind of communication with already, and some of them I will soon. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And can you perhaps say a little bit about what you think about each of the piece? Like what is it about? What does it express? I mean, I know it's like not an easy task to talk about music, which is abstract, but like for you yourself as a performer, like what do you think about each of these pieces? Like what do they mean to you?
Yeah, well, it's a pretty complex question to answer shortly with so many pieces, but I'll try. Yeah, like I mentioned, like all of them are completely different, like starting with like technical stuff, like technically so different approach to what to produce from the violin. For example, Accelerative's Halterio, it's a graphic score, and he's exploring the different, yeah, like multiphonics, which is not it's not
Harmonics.
multiphonic.
Oh,
Yeah,
multiphonics.
which is not usual for violin. Like cello more, but violin it's not that simple, like, and not that often used. So I've been exploring to like how to produce it and what kind of sounds to make with it.
Wow, I didn't know that was possible on the violin.
Yeah, it's not like common knowledge, I guess, and I didn't come across before actually. Even I played kind of, you can say, like quite a lot of contemporary stuff, but I didn't produce multiphonics before, so it's been really an interesting learning experience for me too. And then using Tan's chapter, it's a game. So he's depicting I'm sorry, I don't know like all the correct terms, but like there's some kind of thing that you bounce in the air. And so he's doing a lot of ricochet stuff and pizzicato and all these kind of effects to depict the bouncing of the chapter.
What is the
and
chapter?
Then it's game.
Game.
I don't, yeah, game.
Okay.
Some kind of game. I don't know exactly, but like it's some kind of yeah, sorry, my English it's not good enough for this description, but yeah, so it's something you bounce in the air with your, and you will kick with your foot, and yeah, so that's kind of the sound world we are in his piece. And then the third solo piece by Matthew Schreibeis. Actually, I had the privilege to be the one premiering that piece like in August. It was not written for me, but yeah, through several incidents, I got to be the one performing it for the first time. And yeah, that's like depicting all kind of the emotional range we go through as humans, like in our life. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, very vastly different pieces from all these composers. And then you mentioned 2 other pieces that you're playing.
Yeah. So there will be a duo by John Liberator, who is also an Eastman graduate and one of my first like serious composer contacts. Like when we were at school together, we already worked together. So it's such a beautiful thing to be returning to his music over and over again. And yeah, I feel a special connection with his writing. So his piece, it's called Songs of Bright Orange Notes, and it's in 4 movements to 4 poems by Randall Potts. And I'll be performing with Jamie Jordan.
Right. And have you performed with Jamie Jordan before?
Actually not. No, we know for a long time, but we didn't play together yet. But now we will. Yeah.
Very cool.
And then one more piece was by Stephen Yip, Clustering Plum Blossoms 2, with cellist Laura Yusiskin. And yeah, that's in 6 movements, and it's depicting like 6 various characters and gestures of like clustering plum blossoms in the winter season.
Beautiful. Wow. Oh, that sounds wonderful. I look forward to hearing your performance of all these pieces. Arda, what about you? What are you have? Yeah, I'll let you speak. You have a lot of also cool pieces that you're part of.
Yes, this I will be performing two works at this year's festival. So one is Christopher Cresswell composed a duo piece with electronics with Jamie Jordan, and I will be performing this piece. It's called All That's Left Is Dirt and Sky. So it's all the lyrics by him as well. It's, I think he had a loss of an elderly family member, so he had, during that period, he dedicated this piece to them. And I am very we are discovering the piece right now, and this will be first time we will perform it with Jamie as well. We were also we met with Jamie last year again for after many years at Eastman. I remember her performance, Piero Lunaire performance, Schoenberg at Eastman at Kilbourne Hall. And then now I'm excited. He's such an amazing musician to perform together this piece. It's a very interesting soundscape, very simple, very minimalistic, but very sensitive music. So I have been working on it, and we have been in touch with composer a couple times as well. So I look forward to that one. And the second piece I will perform is by Sangbin Ri, is a Korean composer. So last year when I was there, Sini performed a work by Hilary Tan with the percussion ensemble and a solo violin. So they have an extremely really good percussion ensemble at University of South Florida, Kevin von Kampen. So we have them. So it was Unmi's and other, I think, their board's idea. Why don't we commission a piece for solo trumpet this year? And I was so honored, so beautiful. It was a big pleasure for me. It was exciting. There was going to be one more composer actually, but that composer couldn't, I think, finish the piece. And then we have, they were like two separate. We were thinking of two different trumpet pieces. So, but Sangbin was so fast, and 6 months ago he delivered us the score. It was amazing. So, and this is a piece, of course we need to ask the composers about the details of this piece, but I will briefly tell you how it has been like. I received the piece, and the first thing I have, I got the score and I opened I checked the trumpet part first immediately, and then I checked the other pieces, and then I noticed we have maybe 5 or 6 very difficult trills on trumpet. So all the trills he wrote was all these difficult trills. Okay. You go to a far position on the trumpet, and you try to connect these between two different resistance points together. So I didn't do I was very calm. I said I have 6 months. I'm going to figure out a way to do this, and I did actually and I didn't even contacted Sangbin to fix anything. I kept the original ideas, and then I grew with it. I improved myself to get into that level in a way. Trumpet is it's not a virtuosic instrument like violin, you can't do so many, but in a way that there are things that are difficult to handle. So now I am getting better. 3-4 days ago, we met with Sangbin online, and we worked on these, and it's getting better now. So, and I witnessed that I can actually do things that, contemporary music is like that. That's interesting. That's why I wanted to share it. We receive something, we get scared. Oh my God, this is and then we spend time, and, and my professor in Sweden is maybe I don't know, 30 trumpet concertos composed for him, all the major composers. he has a contract. In his contract, he has I think as a trumpeter, he says, I need to have the score 2 years before the first performance. So he receives it, and then he really gets into his body, because the process of playing on the trumpet is a little bit different. You need to really prepare that kind of a set of muscles for that concerto, in a way. So that's what I have been first time in my life. I'm just experiencing that, in a way. So interesting thing about the piece. So this piece is, imagine 5, like let me show you a little bit. So this is kind of the chart that 5 percussionists are. I am in the middle with the conductor, which will be Kevin. So, and imagine you are surrounded with percussion instruments that are function differently than the trumpet. However, I have a terminal. This is my terminology. I always call the trumpet a tongue percussive instrument. So it comes from my research when I was at Eastman, when I studied all my teachers coming from French tradition. So actually it's very percussive, how they play. It's very similar to percussive instruments. So Sangbin and composed in a very way that maybe he's unaware of that fact, but I mean, he's aware of that fact, but not the percussiveness of the trumpet. So these percussions around me are not like a vocal instruments. They can't do a like vocalize like a crescendo, decrescendo, do different things so flexible. They are just percussive instruments. So in the middle, his piece is about he had a trip in the suburbs. He was driving and he's seen an artwork, and that artwork had a lot of little pieces that when they come together, it was Einstein's portrait. But what do you call this technique? I remember. But so what I am saying is, so it's now what he did was with these pieces, he took little ideas by Ludwig van Beethoven, and then he put from his symphonies, piano sonatas, little ideas, and he put them together in the piece with percussion and trumpet. And then at the end, there is a little ending of the piece is unique. Like it's not Beethoven. It's just a melodic statement, a theme that is, doesn't belong to anyone. But everything is belong to. So he says in the description of the piece that trumpet is gluing all these ideas together, because all the percussive instruments are playing really. It's difficult to put them together. 5 percussionists, lots of different percussions, but whenever I play, my playing is kind of putting them together in a way. So that's interesting. So what can I say else? So I am excited to play this piece, and it will be a really like one of the memorable. You said memorable, so like this is gonna be one of the most memorable performances, I think, and I look forward to it. And this piece is called Caged Dream of Stuffed Ludwig. Is the name of the piece. It's for solo trumpet, 5 percussionists, and a sound sampler. Also, he will be directing. He will be using electronics as well.
So very cool. I wasn't aware that there was also an electronics part. Yeah, that sounds like a very unique instrumentation. I don't think I have come across a piece for trumpet and 5 percussion.
There are electric toothbrushes, different gongs. It's really I look forward to it. I only try to imagine, since it's going to be a world premiere, so we have never had the chance to see hear it, so I look forward to hear it and perform it.
Have you,
Perform in it.
was the composer in touch with you during the process of the writing, or did he just write the piece and then send it to everyone? Did he consult with you at all?
He wrote. We met first time, and how I work with composers is actually this was a nice example I would like to say about that. So I would like them to dream, don't limit themselves, like do whatever they want, because they are the creators. So, and then later when I receive the score, I try to make it possible. If it doesn't work, I contact them, and then we go for I want to serve to their creativity, their creation. I don't want them to serve me in a way. So that's primary for me is the composer in that way. It's very difficult way, but I think my professor Håkan does the same thing, or really like you can understand because it's about the composer's intention, and he uses that performer as its sound, its voice. So during our process, we did the same thing, and I actually wanted to hear from Sangbin first. Look at the score. I told him I was going to do that, but I never changed anything. So it's as it is. We are gonna perform. Maybe 1 or 2 changes we made 3 days ago, but it was very like extremely minor, like really like one little arpeggiato note is a little bit lower, it's that. Instead of an E, we changed it to an F sharp or something like that.
Right. I see. Wow, very cool. It's very inspiring actually to hear the performer's perspective on how they view a collaboration with a living composer, and to see how much you honor the composer's vision. That's super cool. Great, thank you for that answer, both of you. And I guess my very last question would be, both of you, what would you say to people who don't know what camp is, and like what would you want them to know before going into the concert and into the festival, any takeaways that you had from your last year's involvement? Sini.
Sure. First, can I make a little addition to my previous answer? I checked because I couldn't figure out in English what was the chapter. So it's a feathered shuttlecock, and that's what you throw in the air and kick in the air. So just a clarification, because my couldn't figure out the term in English. Sorry. Yeah.
Thank you.
So about Camp 23, I really hope to see everyone who are around the area there. The program will be amazing, like so versatile. You will hear stuff you have not heard anywhere before, and it will be like a very unique experience, I think, judging from last year's experience I had there. So yeah.
Very cool. And Arda?
I mean, based on my experience last year, I think it will be amazing. I would love the audience to communicate a little bit with us after the concert. Maybe before the concert we are always like nervous, trying to like put all these things together to perform. However, it's nice to talk to people, and it's I like when someone who is not, who is interested and communicated any of the performers about something. That's always nice, and it's going to be, as Sini says, it's going to be beautiful, and it's already being amazing. I'm like so happy to be a part of this interview with Sini especially, and with you, Anya, of course. It's very unique, and it will be amazing. And then the venues this year is going to be a little bit different venues as well. So since it's contemporary music, we have we have the opportunity to play anywhere, really. Like, I was performing a piece in New York under a bridge, you know, it was written for that. So it's kind of, we have that richness as well. I said new music is the richest music. It is richest music. We have the luxury to do anything, really. Like, so that's why I think they will, in today's world, the audience should come and attend, because this type of music is the most natural feeling they will have, because the world is so contemporary now. We are not living in we are in 21st century maybe, and we are facing to really to the future in the most global way possible. There are so many different people coming from different backgrounds, and they are together at this festival. Imagine, like, so many composers. I don't remember, 36 composers, something like that. I don't know, like many composers, many performers. Amazing. I mean, what else can you have? You know, they need to come and attend all the concerts. We invite them. Please do. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Beautiful answer. Wow. Yeah, it is so international, like really both from the composers, but also performers. I mean, both of you are flying all the way from, you know, Finland and Turkey, right? You're right now in Turkey.
Yes.
So yeah, that's remarkable. Thank you both so much for your time and for your thoughtful responses. I learned so much about both of you, but also it's been very interesting and inspiring to hear everything that you have to say. So thank you for everything, and yeah, I look forward to hearing your performances at camp, and hopefully, yeah, that will not be the only time. But
Yes.
I see you. Great. Thank you so much.